Hi there, welcome to a new episode of We Are Funded Trading Plus. My name is Andrew Lockwood. I'm the new Head of Education here at FTP. Stay tuned to hear my adventures in the trading pits of the City of London and how I can help you in your trading.
Andrew, we've been doing some deep diving. Well, I've been doing a little bit of deep diving into your history and got 3 pages full of absolute full of information. So I'm just hoping for in today's conversation just to really try and find out more about you, your background, what makes you tick, and basically what you're going to bring to Funded Trading Plus. So I was thinking, take me back to the very, very start. What year are we in, and what made you come into the world of trading, or what it was back then?
Well, funny enough, I mean, that's the only sort of industry that ever really interested me at school. I mean, I remember going back to my sort of earlier days. Money was always the thing for me. It was always about money and so forth. So I remember my careers teacher saying to me at the time, I said I want to be I want to go into the stock exchange, and I was told at those times I had to have a degree and all that stuff, and I wasn't very good at school, and so I didn't really fancy that. So what happened was I wrote I know exactly what it was, 42 letters before we had computers, and I posted 42 letters to all the companies of the London Stock Exchange, basically asking for a job. 2 replied.
Out of 42?
2 replied out of 42. I don't know where the others went, but only 2 replied. James Capel and Ackwood and Smithers. Ackwood and Smithers called me in for an interview. Now, this was a really low-level photocopier type of T-boy job, and offered me the job. And I said to my dad, who was a sort of businessman, I said, I'm leaving school. He goes, you're not leaving school. I said, well, I'm leaving school. I'm going to go and work in the stock exchange. Again, we had a bit of an argument, and I left school and started as a T-boy. Within about 6 months, one of the top traders down there that were always employing graduates basically said, we want him to work on the floor with us. So he gave me the lucky break, basically. At the age of 18, my dad finally did pay for me to do the exams independently, stock exchange exams. I was the youngest stock exchange jobber on the LSE at the age of 18, 19. So, yeah.
What kind of years are we talking about here?
Oh, 4 or 5 years ago now. I mean,
there was the tulips in Amsterdam.
What type of years? Everything was in black and white, I mean.
Okay.
No. I don't know what I call it 20. So it was 19, I guess 87. Yeah, the wild 80s as we called it.
You weren't even born then, were you?
That was well before my time. But no, it sounds crazy because actually,
I know I look younger. I mean, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly that. And the camera is doing a great job for you as well. But no, I mean, from a trader's point of view, especially coming from me, I've been trading for like 5 years. And I've just always wanted to know like these stories from what it was like back then, because obviously trading's moved on so much. I just want to try and get a glimpse of what it was like for a young 18, 19-year-old lad coming into the London Stock Exchange. What was your first experiences when you first walked through the building? What was the building like? Is it crazy like it's in the movies?
I remember the smell of it. Well, first of all, what I remember is when I used to, walking past the London Stock Exchange building, going to my little office to be a photocopier. And that was just over the road from the floor. I remember looking past it every morning, say, I want to get into that floor. It's just, I sort of like ran my fingers past the London Stock Exchange, sort of encarved, just always wanted to be on the floor. And but obviously I didn't have the qualifications, got the lucky break. But what I remember is the smell of it. It just smelled different. I can smell it now almost. Just going onto the floor and seeing the hexagons that you used to see on the news and what have you. So it just, for me, it was just full of excitement. But the London Stock Exchange was vastly different to where I spent most of my time in the city, which was in the Futures Exchange. I'll come to that in a second. That was basically all full of the sort of the posh top hats, and these are the London stock jobbers. So it's a much more sort of high end than Futures, which was the young gun. So I was a young guy there, a very young guy. I remember one of my first jobs was to write on the board. Every Friday afternoon, the government broker, so appointed by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, would come in. He would hand me a piece of paper. My job as a junior was to write down on the board the new announcement of the new government bond that had issued. My hands were shaking, and people couldn't read it. They all shut down their radios. Oh, there's a new government bond issued, but I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. But all that, so the London Stock Exchange and all the difference between brokers and jobbers, all that all closed down in about 1990. The Big Bang, they called it, and the Big Bang, yeah. And everything basically went to the offices. So from the floor to the office, that almost happened overnight. And I didn't succeed. I mean, in the office, I just couldn't. I wanted to be back into the environment of, open outcry, if you like. So I asked for a transfer down onto the futures exchange. And that's when the fun happened. I mean, we were all young kids, entrusted with all this money, literally throwing around hundreds of thousands of dollars on a daily basis. We all wore coloured jackets. I mean, and the money that was flowing around. Also, as staff, we got paid a lot of money. I mean,
now I'm excited. I'm excited to find out more about, obviously, from when you moved into the futures thing. But Simon, you've obviously been trading for a long time as well. Maybe not as long as Andrew, but for a long time as well. When you first started trading, was the idea of maybe the history of trading, did that ever fascinate you?
I think so, yeah. Not quite as long as Andrew. I didn't start trading. Start trading when I was 3.
In the age.
But that would have been ahead of my time. Yeah, I think so. I think you see it on films, don't you? You see it sort of romanticised. And Mum, actually, when I first got into trading, sort of 2011, 12-ish time, she bought me a sort of portrait, the opposite, a landscape picture of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and it's full of all tickets on the floor and all the coloured jackets and things like that. And you see, there's I can't remember the documentary names, but I've watched those on YouTube and things like that show what it was like and try to explain it to you, and sort of energy and things like that. It seems real. I think what's possibly a little bit sad about its demise, among other things, is the social side of it as well. It always seems like it would have been amazing.
It was amazing, and quite honestly, looking back on it, I don't know how I did it. Okay, I was about your age, I guess, but maybe even a bit younger. But I mean, it was the social side of it. For example, we would have lunchtime shifts. So there's 3 shifts. We'd be in there at sort of 7:00. First lunchtime shift would go at 11:30. We'd be over the wine bar, having champagne and beer. I mean, it was literally like you see, and you might have 4 pints of beer, and then go back to the 12:00, 12:30. Go back to the floor, trading with 3 or 4 pints on you, and then tea break would come at 2:00. Over again, having another couple of pints of beer, and other people were doing other stuff above you. But I mean, it was a wild life. I mean, and I always sort of likened it to being in a pub all day long with your mates. And I'm not saying we drank all day, but it was just you're sitting there chatting about the weekend and what have you. If something happened, then the market would go and we'd all get serious and start trading away, and then it would quieten down and we'd all just go back to chatting about what we've just done. So. It was, looking back on it, it was crazy, and we were known as the Maggie's boys, right? After Margaret Thatcher and what have you. So the amount of money that we were also getting paid. I mean, I remember getting 22, 23-year-old getting 50 grand bonuses, and one pay review I got given a company BMW and a 50 grand bonus, and that's when I went back to my dad and said, "Dad, you didn't want me to leave school," and he said, "Well, okay, I'll take that one," and he took it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that, because I don't want to brush past it, because it's a very very important thing as well, because you're a young lad at that age, you're 22, 23, you're starting to make these incredible sums of money. What was it like from you from a personal point of view, separated from the trading for a second? You've obviously left school, gone on to pursue the trading side of it. You've obviously started to do really really well. What was it like with you and your maybe circle of friends back at school who you've maybe separated from, or they've gone on to go to university and things like this? What were you thinking in those years?
Well, we were known as the yuppies that they used to call them. I don't know if you've heard that expression. Have you heard of a yuppie?
Yeah, I have.
You've not heard of a yuppie?
9/11 driving yuppies.
Yeah, yuppies.
Well, and Patrick Bateman destroys them all, doesn't he, as a symbol?
This
in
is-
American
I think
Psycho.
This is a true. This is a true story. Okay, so I was So I support Crystal Palace for my sins, and I remember being at Crystal Palace. I'd have my mobile phone in my pocket. Now this is when no one had mobile phones.
How big was it?
Oh, it was a brick. No, it was the brick, right? But no one had mobile phones. All my mates that were working in a building society or working, doing surveying or something like that, and it was about half time. I'm there with my cousin at the time, and there's an announcement coming over the Tannoy, all over Selhurst Park, the football stadium, saying a message for Andrew Lockwood. Your mother is on the phone saying you've left your phone on and she can hear everything. So I've taken out my phone to turn it off, and it was going, yuppie, yuppie, and throwing coins at me and all that.
I bet the phone bill was mint.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, but,
£5 a minute back then.
So I was different from my friends, in terms of obviously what, I was driving the nice cars and had the money. I bought my house when I was like 22 and so
But
forth.
it must have been a risk, though. It must have been a risk because obviously, yeah, you have this idea in your head going into it. This is what I want to do, but you don't know if that's going to play out so well, do you?
Josh, I didn't go in for it because I wanted to be a multi-millionaire. I just had the fascination of it. I mean, it's just the fascination of, you know, making money. I love making money. I didn't matter how much money I had. I just loved making it. You know, it's more that the thought of doing it rather than actually what I can buy with it. And, you know, I wasn't a big flash guy, really. I mean...
Can we relate that to modern day trading in the sense of traders who are coming into the markets now wanting to make like loads of money really quickly? It doesn't always seem to play out, but those who are getting into it because they enjoy it or they're fascinated by it.
Yeah, I think there's a few points there. I mean, Steve Ward, the trading psychologist, he calls it love of the game. You know, he's adopted as a sporting term. And similar with Mark Douglas, really, the former trading psychologist who's passed away now, he would say the people who made the most money were the one who didn't give a shit about money.
Yes.
It was the sport, the count. You know, how high a score can I get? The like I said, the love of the game of it as well. And money was a byproduct of it, which is really which is quite difficult sometimes to compute because the reason you get into trading is because you want to make money, doesn't it? So it's quite a difficult thing. Whereas the more you focus on the money, the more it can hinder you as well. Whereas if you actually enjoy the process, you enjoy whether it's trying to analyse macroeconomic events or technical analysis and things, and you sort of focus more on that thing, then the money sort of, you know, finds its way into your life as well.
No, it's super interesting though. So you get to the age of 22, 23, obviously you said nice car, the money started coming in. You talked about the Big Bang event. What is this event that you're saying?
Well, the Big Bang, just back to what you're talking about there, I mean, because that's something that really resonates with me about this sort of, the people that I've seen over the years and the people that I've educated over the years in their trading, is those that are coming in wanting to become millionaires, that have been drawn to it by all the crap they've seen on YouTube and all that. It's those people that end up crashing and burning. It's the people that have different expectations, as you say. It's the wanting to achieve it, having that desire as opposed to wanting to be mega rich. And I think that's dangerous. The Big Bang basically was the Big Bang was when it was deregulation of the financial markets. It was basically when stock jobbers and stock brokers, they used to be two independent. A broker basically dealt for the clients and the jobber was the market maker. That basically became one. And it basically meant that investment banks now could act as not just a broker or a stock jobber, market maker. Investment banks could basically do both. So that's what it was. It was something that most people don't even realise that has happened. It's in the 1990s. It's basically the deregulation of the way the investment banking world happened in those days. It didn't really affect me much, apart from the fact that I had to now sit in front of little green screens. I mean, they're not like screens we have now. These are like LED screens. I mean, so that was, that's what happened. But then that led to open outcry exchanges also starting up all over the world. You mentioned the Chicago Merc and Life. It's called London International Financial Futures Exchange. That's when these exchanges were developing. Singapore as well. And so that was sort of led to that that sort of generation, if you like. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that one. Stay tuned. There's more to come.